Okay, let's go.
Hi babes, welcome back to Random Ramblings with your girl Emily Doris, and today we are back on another episode. My babes, I miss you guys so much, and this is our season 2 episode 3, and today I'm not alone. We have a guest on the show. Please help me welcome my friend, a special man, a smart man, very intelligent, very demure, Dr. Oluwole Femi. Please welcome.
Thank you very much.
How's your day?
Well, stressful, but we are here.
Stressful, but we are here.
Yeah.
See, guys, people should just leave me because Nigeria, people are moving mad. The country is hard. Like, things are soaking. So, I'm using Airpods today. I forgot my mic. Part of the struggles for being a podcaster. We move. Welcome, Dr. Femi. So, how's it been? How are you? How's family? How's Nigeria?
Yeah. You know the weather is quite hot now, so we are just trying to, still do what we are supposed to do. Yeah, joining work and other activities that we need to do.
Yeah.
So, but we are fine.
It's fine. Very, very classic. I wish I was a doctor. Oh, I don't get a brain to read though. This is well fun. Today, our topic, we're going to be talking about the heart behind medicine, emotional intelligence in healthcare. And that's why I brought my doctor to come and speak all the grammarious grammar for you to understand. So, please, Dr. Femi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, Dr. Oluwole Femi.
Okay.
I'm a senior registrar in cardiology and also the chief resident of internal medicine at UBTH. I'm a doctor, and I'm also one of the 100 most influential youths in Africa.
Round of applause. My guest is not small. Oh. My guest is not small, very demure. That's how somebody said it, very demure. Very classic. Don't worry, sit back and relax. The gist is gonna be hot. That's so nice, such achievement at a very young age. It's giving R&D. It's giving R&D. Sugar. Don't worry. He's married, very taken. So remove your eyes. It's not available at the moment. So you have a book on emotional intelligence. What do you think is so critical for healthcare and professionals?
Okay, thank you very much. While I was thinking about the book and writing the book,
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of the general populace.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, I realized that emotional intelligence is actually something that is also important in the healthcare sector because of the rate of assault and experience. Studies have shown that 1 in 5 healthcare workers will experience assault in a year. So I think it's a very important a very important concept that we all should understand and be able to foster good communication and better patient outcome.
You said a lot of things. I just grabbed the one that my brain could grab at the same time. I'm not a doctor, don't ask me. But that was so beautiful. I hope you picked something from that. But what are the key components of emotional intelligence that every healthcare professional should develop?
Okay, according to Daniel Goleman, the author of emotional intelligence and one of the founders of the topic, in his book he outlined about 5 different categories.
Yeah.
The number 1 is self-awareness.
Okay.
Second is self-regulation.
Okay.
There is motivation, and there is also social skill.
Emotional self-awareness, that's like the part I really like. How so? Because these days people are not really self-aware of things going on in their environment, even within them. Like some people are really depressed and they do not know. They pass out their frustrations on people. And I think as a person, living medicine or whatever circumstances aside, as a human being self-aware of whatever is happening in your environment or in you, first of all, is how you now start figuring out whatever is happening with the next person. Because if you do not know you cannot know what's going on in the environment. Because when you're self-aware, like it's how you have, some people have body dysmorphia, other people have short-sightedness, some people, they are aware that they are fat. That's how you now look for solutions to cope these things. But if you're not aware and you keep living the self-doubt that, oh, I don't think so, that's the problem, it's not a problem. You hear people say, oh, that's how I am, I don't want to change. And you're like, there's something wrong with you. Each day as a person, we work towards perfection. Whereas no human being can be perfect, right? But building yourself on a daily basis, waking up to say, oh, I'm like this, I want to do better, I read books. Yes, you're a fan of books. Yes, Dr. Oluwole is a fan of books. It's a reader. So that's how you gain knowledge. You want to be aware of what's going on in your society. You want to learn more. Like, there's no harm in learning. My dad used to say there's no knowledge that goes to waste. Whether you need it or you don't need it, it's important that you have it or you are aware of what's going on. Like, or just know it for the knowing sake. Someday it will come in handy and someone just ask you, oh, what do you think this is? So how does that like dive into emotional intelligence? Because I don't think a lot of people are aware of what's going on with them, and how can they really be aware of situations around them and themselves?
Thank you very much. I agree with you that there is a positive knowledge concerning emotional intelligence in the environment. Much of our emphasis is on intelligent quotient, that is how to put 1 plus 1 together, And then they're saying that IQ will get you in the job, but emotional intelligence will make you stay in the job. Yeah, so I think it's because of the paucity of awareness. People don't really know what emotional intelligence is, which is the ability to recognize emotion in yourself and in others, and using that knowledge to guide your thoughts and your behavior. So if we're able to understand this concept, it's going to improve not only ourselves, but also our relationship with others.
You heard that. Be self-aware. Like, if you're not self-aware, sit down, think. Take Nigeria one corner. Figure out yourself first. Because imagine how it is to know the things to do for yourself, the things you need as a person, know when to say no, know when to say yes, build your confidence and yourself to not say you're an original person without looking or copying whatever or going with the natural norms of society. You know how hard it is to do those stages, self-doubt, all of that. Then you build yourself to a particular person. You know what practical steps can medical professionals take to improve this kind of emotional intelligence for people in general?
Okay, the first one I would say is empathy. Okay. Because clinical medicine is more about documenting and just prescribing medication.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding that this patient, putting yourself in the patient's shoe, understanding that this is somebody's wife, daughter, husband, and relative. And if anything goes wrong with this particular patient, it's going to affect a whole lot of things. So having the understanding of empathy. And then number 2 is communication. Communication in medicine is about you not just talking to make your patient understand, but also listening to comprehend what your patient is saying. Because what your patient is saying and what you understand is what you put together to treat the patient.
That's very beautiful. It's said empathy, it's said communication. It's not carried out inside each other. Empathy and communication. Like, I don't know what's the word, have compassion. Like, look towards the outside. How does the Bible say, be your neighbor's keeper? Love thy neighbor as thyself. People are carrying a lot of it. And trust me, the first opportunity they get in the outside world is to pass it to the next person. Like, we are not hesitating right now to pass the next hate we receive from somebody to the next person. And until we stop the cycle of hurt people, it's never going to get better. Even to the government system, you hear things like, oh, if I'm given opportunity, I'm a governor today, I have 13 seconds, you'll do worse than what they're doing right now. So in order to even build a society that we can thrive in and live in, in order for that to work, you should have empathy. Like, just pity the state, pity people, pity your neighbors, and just look and say, oh, even if people have done you wrong or things are going to certain way, if I come, the change should begin with you. Put a stop to it. I saw something on Instagram and somebody was like, he said, until we stop the whole tendency of they did it to me, I'm going to do it to the next person. If you stop passing the hate, it's going to stop. But until we stop the mentality of passing the hate, it will continue. And communication, try to talk to people. Like, my boss that I used to work with used to say, we are not mind readers. I'm not an angel that's supposed to be what's in your head. Until you tell me how you feel and express it directly, I can't know how you truly feel. And when you are communicating, when you are joking, let people see that you're joking. when you are serious, let it be serious. Let like your joke not look like seriousness, and your seriousness not look like a joke, so that people start to keep emotional intelligence. You know, now I think it's a rant. Women are starting to put up their voices more, and I think we need to be heard. And for the fact that Oluwole is a man. Let's see whatever controversies are out there, because I don't know what's going on in this generation now. Everything's so uptight. People are angry. They're just carrying faith. They say, men, I've been hearing spirals also. Men are not emotional intelligent. Men are emotional intelligent. Please, what's your take on that? Because I feel like this is a serious thing right now.
Okay. Thank you very much. People who say men are not emotional do not understand emotions, what emotion is. Okay? And the reason is because emotion, we have primary and secondary emotion.
Okay.
For the primary emotion, we have fear, sadness, happiness, you know. So, have you not seen men that are happy? That's an expression of...
Sometimes it's very good to hide it too.
What do you say?
Sometimes it's very good to hide it too. I've seen men that are happy that will not say they are happy. They just chuckle it up and just...
So that's an emotional intelligence on your part. Ability to recognize that, despite the fact that this man is not showing happiness.
They choke me into...
So that is being emotionally intelligent. Understanding what is not being said, you know, so it guides your own action towards the person. You are in a relationship with the person, an individual. The person is talking to you, but you know there is something different about the way this person is communicating today. So you want to sit down and talk about the situation. That's being emotionally intelligent. Though your partner is not crying, but you know that you're sad. That's been emotionally intelligent.
So I think the word now, let's twist that one. I don't think it's men are not emotionally intelligent. I think we should use men are not very expressive. And that's okay. Because people are allowed to express themselves however they choose. And as men, I think the general African norm says you were built a certain type of way. Because the training that was embedded into you when growing up as a man, you have to feel like yourself. Men are having it hard. If you have any man around you, squeeze one kid in his hand and just tell him, well done. It's not easy being a man. Because I have a brother, and I know how hard it is to, you know, be dependent. Like, all the time is independent. Like, nobody wants to sort out things for you. They don't get favors. I'm a girly girl. Like, I've gotten things without even asking. Like, men will just be like, oh, you're so pretty. I don't want you to stress. I don't want you to do anything. Look at, I love your hairstyle. Do you want airtime? What do you need? And there's a guy standing close to me, and nobody's asking what's up. And I'm like, oh, more. I love that I'm a woman. I was come to this world 10 times being a woman. Please. So, let's make efforts. Let's make contributions to society. Let's do more for ourselves. Let's be emotionally intelligent. Let's be emotionally intelligent to the men. Because I think we always, when it's relationship wise, women are fast to push the blame. We're waiting for, you know, people are not really accountable, right? And the next thing you want to do is point fingers at who is causing the issue. And you hear things like, the man is not emotionally intelligent. It's not this. It's not that. And we shift blames rather than being accountable. You're not making enough effort to know how it feels, like you said. He's talking a certain way, he used to talk a certain way. If you were only patient and you listened, just as, you know, with the treatment, telling your patients that, listening to them, if you pay more attention to him, you will know that this is not the way he talks today. Something is changed, something has happened, something is different about my partner. But just because what you are talking about at that moment is more important than what's happening to him, you want to keep rambling about the hair he did not buy for you and the show, I promise. And yeah, ignoring what he said. When they button up in and they can't button, they explode in outer circles. So please, if you don't want to slap your feet, please make efforts to be. But what advice you have for men who are not actually emotional? Because now, I don't think it's just men are emotionally intelligent, they are not expressive. Some men are very clueless. Let's be realistic. Some don't even know what it means. Like, they just come and just do, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. What advice do you have for those people, especially young boys or young youths who are coming up?
First of all, I would say expression of emotion is a function of upbringing, environment, and some other factors, maybe genetic. You know. That so, it took me some time, about a few years to fully comprehend what emotional intelligence is, even after reading so many books. So you have to practice.
Yeah.
You understand? You have to practice emotional intelligence. You can get a mentor, you can read books, you can listen to podcasts like this on what emotional intelligence is.
Yeah.
And try on a daily basis, write out the different emotions.
Yeah.
And once you feel in a particular, identify them as okay. Around 9 a.m. when I was my clinical meeting, I was sad, so I was able to recognize that I was sad and identify what made me sad.
Okay.
That is emotional regulation,
Okay.
and I was able to fix it, and I did not allow the sadness to affect my productivity and to work for them.
Of course, that was such an amazing answer. Oh my God. I think I should try that sometime. Okay. So with these steps, it can help curb your expression more, right? Because I, for one, am very expressive. I'm very dramatic when I want to. And do whatever it is. You bring crazy, you get. And apparently, there was a research that I saw that they said, whatever emotion you give to a woman, she multiplies and gives you back. So whatever you pass the hate, she multiplies and gives you back. You pass the love, she multiplies and gives you back. Except for some men that are really terrible. And if you are a woman, that's the step of women that are really terrible. If you're a woman, you're terrible. Please. Don't say, let's stop the era of this is how I am. Please, work on yourself. Like, my pastor in church would say, I'm a very spiritual person. My pastor in church would say, you're praying for a man. Okay, I'm single. Mistake. Well, I don't know. The status is single, married. There's no engaged in the person. I'm not going to engage. But God will bring. Back to it. My pastor in church will say, we are praying for a God-fearing man. Right? And you are there to you. Father, Lord, this. Look at yourself. If God was to give you yourself to marry in man form, would you take it? So the only problem will be genders. So if I am a woman and God was to give me as a man to marry, would I take it? And for the first time, I was clueless in church, and I just, after the whole preaching, that was the little I picked. And I went to a man and sat down. And that's when I decided, I said, I will not stop working on myself. We want to work to be better, and it will make me work the better place. You being you and being good. Even if you're not seeing the impact now, you are doing things in the world that's making it a better place, right? So I picked that from church. You can pick this thing from different places, but I picked that in church. And I just thought about it, true. When you go out to pray and you say you want this, you want that, you want that, if God is going to give you yourself to marry, true, can you marry yourself in the man form? So if you're not working to get money, or you're not making means to survive, and you want somebody's son that God has specially prepared, like God took his time to prepare his son in his house, you carry it and give it to the rubbish, you marry. Do you want to finish the person? Right? So what's your advice to ladies who are not also emotionally intelligent, who think they are a certain type of way and that's okay?
Emotional intelligence doesn't mean that you should not.
You are allowed to marry. Okay.
Knowing when to be and being angry at the appropriate time and measure. You understand?
That's a lot of things.
Yeah, so it's part of it. You quoted the Bible. There was a time Jesus told his disciples not to fight when they cut off the ear of one of the military men.
Yes.
And there was a time he was the one that picked up to throw people out of the temple.
Yes.
So it's knowing when to be calm.
Yeah.
Knowing when to confront a situation at the appropriate time and with the appropriate measure. So it's still all about emotional regulation.
Yeah.
So women can also, or ladies can also learn about the component of emotional intelligence and how to apply it to their lives. It doesn't only work for your place of work, it also works for relationship and even for yourself, because you spend more time with yourself. So when you have internal conflict, you're able to understand what you feel and how to address them. That's it. Basic as that.
I learned a lot. Sometimes we have doctors in the room, they just very casually, they're just dropping brains out there. I just like, oh God, what am I doing in my life? Oh, God, I need to read, I'm intelligent in life, oh. But that's been so nice. It's been so good to have you here on the podcast. But now, we are not going to the relationship aside because some people are in relationships. UBTH charged. And if you're in a relationship and you're struggling with this, I heard something about having hard discussions, like have the discussions that don't run away from discussions that hard. Have the hard discussion. What are your advice to couples or people who are married or to people who are planning to get into relationships and they are a work in progress? Because I like to see people are work in progress every step of the way. So if you're a work in progress, you're in relationships, get into relationships, or they just got out of a messy relationship, what's your advice to them on how they can build more themselves to do better?
That's quite complex.
Is it
Complex in the sense that, first of all, I would say, before you go into a relationship, it's better to identify those red flags that you know you cannot deal with. For example, can you deal with a man with low EQ? Emotional intelligence.
Sorry, yeah, I was like, what people that are smart, they jump fast, EQ, emotional intelligence, for the junior fans.
Yeah. So, can you deal with such a man?
Yeah.
Because a man with a low EQ would not even understand where you are coming from. You get? So, because a man is intelligent, IQ, can put 1 plus 1 together, first class graduates in school, doesn't mean that they can have relationships. There are two parallel lines.
Yeah.
So you have to, probably through the dating period, you have to be able to understand that aspect of them. You don't even know when they're angry, or they just do things, they come back to apologize and end up doing it again. Are they humble enough to handle difficult conversations? Are they even willing to listen to your point of view? So these are things that before you go into the relationship, you should be able to identify and tell yourself if you are able to deal with such. But I don't think there's anybody apart from maybe Jesus Christ that can deal with a man or a woman with a woman.
Sense this thing, so negotiate your deal breakers. What's the deal breaker in the deal breaker, right? That's what we say, don't negotiate your deal breakers. If you say no, don't tell yourself a lie. Don't gamble yourself into pretending or thinking that our friend is very handsome, don't worry, we can work things out. That's a lie. I think that's where the self-awareness comes in for me. First, being aware of who you are. Knowing what you want for your life and your future.
Yes.
To have a stable home, to do this, have a man with everybody shouting emotional intelligence, you self that you're shouting. Have you worked on yourself? Have you looked inwards and finally say, I have a problem and I need to fix it? There's something wrong about me, and that's okay because that's how you were born. The environment, like he said, the society where you were raised contributed factors to all these things that made you who you are. But that's why you are who you are. But you can be better. Right? I don't think anybody's damaged and is meant to be damaged forever. If you make it up, nothing should stop you from making up your mind to do the right things. There's never too late time to do the right thing. So when you speak up as a person and you decide that this is what you want for yourself, this is what I want for you, that's when you can now identify it in somebody else. Because when you don't know what's a red flag, you don't even know where to start from. The red is looking like green, orange. It's going to be confusing at the end of the day. But if you know this is a red flag, like I cannot deal. Some people say it's English for them, but it is what it is. That is their reality, and that's okay. So it's so good to have Dr. Oluwole Femi here on the podcast. Thank you very much. It was such an interesting conversation. Thank you so much for coming. And with that, my faves, we'll be signing out from this season 2, episode 3. We love you. Dr. Femi said what?
I love you guys.
Thank you. Bye, babe.